Welcome to the MuseCast, where we squeeze every last drop of inspiration out of Sunday's sermon.
Hi, Dan Kent.
Hello, long time no see.
It has been a minute. And look, you know what? I was half expecting that the link wouldn't work for me. I like that was going to be your way to tell me you've been cut from the show. But
No, the opposite. So did you get a chance to see the previous two MuseCasts?
Not yet.
It was a debacle. It was a debacle. It was an absolute train wreck. And
I don't believe you.
The network almost canceled us.
Oh, so, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Network means business. Well, listen, let me just say really quickly, Happy Muse Day to everyone. Thank you for tuning in. He's Dan Kent. He's been holding it down. I'm Shawna Boren, and I've been gone. One time was unexpectedly. The next time was expectedly, but I kind of feel like I'm visiting a foreign country. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what we're doing. I typically, this is a little behind the scenes info for folks. Typically when we're on vacation. Sometimes Dan travels to a different part of the country to live for a little bit, to work. And he still works, right? And there have been times when we're like off, but we'll still do the show, or we'll still do because we enjoy it and it's just what we do. And I was really encouraged to not do so this time. And so thank you to Dan Kent, because he literally held it down. But a part of that for me was I was not engaged at all with anything happening with our lovely church community. And so we closed a series. We started a new series. You had different people on the show with you. You did a sermon you weren't expecting to do. So there's been a lot, and I feel like I'm in a foreign land. So I'm going to need you to kind of catch me up, because I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. And I don't even know if I can, because I'm so like, what's next? What's next? What's next?
You are.
I'm very forward looking. But we closed out a series. We closed out Walk the Way, and did a sermon on, what was my sermon on? Oh, generosity. That's what it was. Like I said, I'm very forward looking.
Yeah, you are. What was that again?
Yeah. And then we started this series called Testify.
Woo!
Yeah. And this is on Revelation chapter 10 and 11. And Greg originally, because it starts off with the arrival of this magnificent angel. Yes. And so Greg just did the first week talking about belief in angels, and kind of gave an argument for that and defended that. And then also shared some warnings about, thinking too much about angels and spirits and stuff like that. Now and then Frodo brought the ring to Mordor. That's the other thing that happened while you were gone. And so it's been busy. It's been busy. And now we're in week 2.
Going on.
Yeah, we're in week 2 now. So.
Okay, so here's the deal, folks. Like I said, Dan has been holding it down. Dan has been present. Dan has been doing all the things and covering in more ways than one that you guys don't know. And so I'm extremely appreciative. Love our team. When one part is kind of dangling away and falls off for whatever reason, we have other parts to come together. But I do feel a bit out of the loop. And so if things seem a little freestyle in today's show, if things seem a little loosey-goosey, that is totally on me, because like I said, I'm just catching it. Just got back, and first day in the office was busy. There's just a ton of meetings and things, and so I'm just still kind of catching my bearings. So Dan is fully prepared and ready. Shawna, Shawna's just kind of hanging out, and we'll see what happens. So,
well, I'll say, in your defense, obviously we all love Greg.
Of course.
You do a much better job as a host with Greg than I do. And we went on this tangent, and I feel like I lost control of the episode. And but it was still fun. But I think I think even with you being unprepared, I think you're just such a natural that it's good to have you back. I'll say
Oh,
that.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. So, what I think we're going to do today is I need to hear the sermon because I did listen to the second sermon of the series, albeit it wasn't the way I like to listen. Like, this was just like my first pass listen. And
Yeah.
I didn't have the space or time to really kind of dive in. So, a lot of pressure on Dan's summary today. But no problem.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so we'll get that summary. We'll kind of talk a little bit about God's hidden mystery, which you're so true, hidden mystery. That's like, why are we saying both things?
That's right.
But anyway,
Yeah.
and then maybe just kind of talk about this series that we are in. Just, I think it's always a good idea when we can to kind of reorient everyone to what we're doing in Revelation so they don't think that we're just a bunch of doomsayers that are addicted to apocalyptic literature. There's a purpose.
Yes.
And we believe in what we're teaching. And so I think it's good just to kind of remind folks of that. So no pressure, Dan.
Yes.
But you got a lot to kind of accomplish today.
Well, yeah. And so I was already looking at my notes and I totally missed what you said at the end there. What was the second task that I need to do?
Oh, Lord. We're going to do God's hidden mystery. And then we're going to just kind of also zoom out a bit and just talk about the series as a whole and the purpose of it and the place and the time and why are we doing this? Because some people may think, oh, it's just the next couple of chapters in Revelation. But no, I mean, yes, but and also we have a point and a purpose.
Yes.
And we have something that we want to get across to the people. So.
Yes, that's the point that we're trying to get across is sort of in flux and it's very inchoate and but yes, here's what I would say. In fact, I'm going to start with that.
Okay.
And then
I like
I'll
that.
finish with the series.
Testify.
That's right.
Exclamation point.
Yeah, that's right. The exclamation mark. That's key. Really, testify is really sort of a way of, it's sort of the verb form of testimony, where you are showing something, you are sharing a story, you're sharing your story, you're sharing with the community something that you think is important for them to know based on your own experience and all of that. And so to testify, it's to validate something, it's to be a witness to something. And because like if we're in a small village, let's say, and like a dog is missing, and then somebody says, well, there was a UFO that landed and took the dog up with him. Well, we need more than that. Do you have a photograph? Do you have what do you have there? Well, it would help if like 3 or 4 other people would testify about that and say, no, we saw it also, and describe it. And so that's what those testimonies kind of like point to the veracity or the truthfulness of something. And what we see in these chapters is we see these different testimonies and these different witnessings that play an important part in what God is doing in the church. And so now we're not to all of them yet, but like what we will see later in this chapter is we will see one of the prophets that, if it's John, actually, he's going to have to share some hard news. It's going to taste sweet to him, but it's going to be uncomfortable to share with the world. And so a lot of the stuff that's being talked about here is, what does it mean to take a stand and to be a witness for God, to be that person who validates the truthfulness of God. And so we're kind of working around the edges of that still, but I think that's where we're ultimately going to go. And really, that's this series is Testify, but really the next series too is sort of unpacks that even more. And so really that next series could also be Testify. That's my off the top of my head way of defending the name of that series and kind of what we're beginning to get into here. Now in this sermon, God's hidden mystery, that's tricky because what we want to know is, how is God going to win? What is God doing here? And that's what we want to know. And And the fact we're told that we can't know that. That's not something that we can know at this point. So John hears these magnificent things in the thunder, and he wants to write it down. And then the angel tells him, "No, you can't share that. That we're going to keep that hidden." And so then the question is, well, what do we testify about then if this is a mystery? And so ultimately what we're going to testify is we're going to testify to the character of God. And whatever God's going to do, we trust, because we trust his character. We trust what God has done. And so we will trust what God will do. And so that brings us to this week, and where Greg talks about the nature of this mystery. And it can kind of feel, and this is me kind of paraphrasing, or what would I say? I'm adding commentary to Greg's sermon as I talk about it, but because it can kind of feel like, the big question we want to know is, how's it going to all work out? How's it going to end? And it can feel kind of like a cop-out to say, well, that's a mystery. But what Greg says is that, well, this is very much in line with how God has worked in the past. And in those cases, it was also mysterious. And yet we know that, or we trust that those things worked out, even though it was bathed in mystery. And so that's kind of, I think, where he wants to go with this sermon. And so he looks at kind of 4 aspects of God's mystery in this sermon. The first aspect is those thunders that I was talking about. John hears these voices and these truths and these revelations in the thunder, and he's told not to write it down. And so it's amazing that then why even put all of that in the text? Why even mention the thunders at all? Why the tease? And I think the tease is there to prompt us to ask the question, what is going on? And to kind of put the choice before us. Do you trust God or not? And is it good enough to just trust God, or do you need to know what the thunder said before you can be faithful? And of course, the call here is, no, we should be able to just trust God and not have to know the details of the thunder. The second kind of mystery that Greg relates to this mystery in Revelation is the cross, where we trust that Christ somehow defeated Satan on the cross. It's not exactly clear how that happened. Why dying on the cross defeats Satan, the text isn't explicit about. And yet Jesus reappeared to the disciples. And so we know that Jesus won. There was a victory there. And then the third kind of mystery that Greg points to is the church itself, and the fact that there's so much, even in these texts in Revelation, but also through the New Testament, where God just trusts the church, and he commissions them, he gives them this huge responsibility as part of his overall plan. So whatever his overall plan is to bring victory to his creation, a lot of it rests on his church. And that's mysterious because, it doesn't seem like it's working. It doesn't seem like we're up to the task. And it seems like the burden and the task is too great for us. And because the fact is that we're only really fulfilling that role to the extent that we are displaying God's wisdom, God's love, God's character. And when you look around, it doesn't seem like we're doing a very good job of that. And yet, Paul is confident that we are going to play this role. And that's a mystery how that's going to happen. And then the fourth mystery relates to God himself, which is, it's so mysterious why a God would even use people like us for, like, what kind of God is this? A God who can speak a universe as profound and large and complex as ours. He could just speak it into existence with all of the animals and the physics and all of that. And he could have a mission with this, and yet he still doesn't want to just speak the mission into victory. He wants to share in that victory with us. And it's a mystery what kind of God is like that, because it's so unexpected. And yet that's what we find in the New Testament. And so all of that, I think, to me, God's hidden mystery, it's setting the table for, I think, what we're going to be talking about in the near future here, which is just this decision that rests in our lap. Can we, number one, trust God without knowing all the details? And number two, can we still fulfill our role in what God is doing in this mission? And number three, can we testify to what God is doing in our own lives, even in the face of not having God's work in us complete yet? And so that's where it's ultimately gonna go. That is my summary. I hope that helps for those of you who were on vacation for the last couple weeks.
For whomever out there who
That's
was
right.
on vacation. Don't know who that was. No, you know what? Very helpful, Dan. Thank you so much. And it definitely helps to kind of summarize it all and kind of give bearing to where we are. And so, yeah, that's very helpful. I will say this, as I was listening to Greg's sermon, God's Hidden Mystery, he said that he found great comfort in the not knowing and the fact that John could have revealed but was directed not to reveal. And I'm uber paraphrasing, but basically Greg was like, that kind of gives me comfort. It takes the pressure off. And I had the total opposite reaction. It stressed me out. It gave me more anxiety. It's like, John, you could let us know a little something. Like, I get it. The angel with the sun face and the rainbow crown and the fire leg. I get it.
Yeah.
Very powerful. However, you teased us. You said that perfectly. Like,
Throw
what
us
a
a bone.
tease. Like, you said, I know. Oh, but I can't tell you.
Yeah. At least, listen, at least, John, at least tell us, does it involve Bitcoin? Tell me. Just give me a bone here. Just a little hint.
Just a little hint. Just a little something. So I was not as comforted by that. What did bring me comfort and what does bring me comfort is, again, going back to the basics of Christ on the cross, of the love in which God showed for us there. The fact that he continues to trust these bozos with fulfilling his mission on this earth is beyond me. Like, the love that he shows us, the grace, the forgiveness, the umpteen dozen second chances. It really, it's beyond me. I'm going to sound cynical, and I'm not as cynical as I sound, but really it's just like, fine, maybe plan B, C, D, E, because we are just lousing it up. And it was refreshing, and I resonated with Greg when he said, I don't feel like as the church we've done a good job. We are a part of this victory, and we keep lousing it up. Again, I'm paraphrasing. I so resonate with that. But I don't want to live there, don't want to dwell there. And I think that is a part of the mystery. How does what appears to be defeat is actually a part of the victory? Like, that is a mystery. And Greg said this. He said that it didn't seem like victory on Good Friday. Mm-hmm. Right? And that is so true. Like, there are so many times throughout history, throughout our own lives here on this earth, it did not seem like God was winning. It didn't seem like the victory was there. It didn't seem like we were overcoming anything. And yet, time and time again, I've been surprised by the beauty in which God shows up and shows out in unexpected ways. And so that is all a part of the mystery. How that works, why that works, don't know. How it's all going to ultimately work, what that's going to look like and when, don't know. But what I do know is who Jesus is, what Jesus stands for, what Jesus represented, what Jesus did for us, just in giving of himself. That I can be confident in. And so then, you ask the question, can we, without knowing all the things, can we still have faith and trust in God's ultimate plan? And I say yes, because of what I have seen. and what Jesus has done. And it is up to us to be a part of that plan as much as we can, as best as we can, and to testify to the goodness of God, because the goodness is there. Sometimes it's harder to see, but it is there. And so
Yeah.
I'm a bit like, I kind of teeter back and forth, despair, hope, despair, hope. But those are just my off the cuff ramblings to what I've heard thus far and what you shared to help kind of frame it a bit better for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the mystery thing and the comfort, and I think what Greg was saying is that it brings him comfort because there's just so many different things to figure out, and there's so many things, and like I know Greg, that's a hard thing for him to do that, because I know, just knowing him for as long as I've known him. One of the things that he has always pushed back against is people who play the mystery card, whenever they don't have an answer in their theology.
Yes.
And he has always held himself to a high standard to not do that. If he has a viewpoint, he's not going to rely on mystery, because that's not an answer to anything. And so he's going to keep wrestling and keep working at it. And he's been such a great role model at that. Mm-hmm. And so for him to say that this mystery brings him comfort, it says a lot about this particular mystery that's different from a lot of the other ones. And so that's worth thinking about. And for me, as I think about the mystery that he's pointing at, like, how is God going to accomplish these things? There's a few verses that just come to my mind, and I wasn't planning this, so I'll just share them and see where it goes. But I think of like the first one that comes to mind is when Jesus warns people. They will say, "Lord, Lord," and I will say, "I never knew you." They think they've got it all figured out, and they think they're all in the good, but they didn't have any type of personal relationship with me, and that. I hold that in my head, and then I hold this in my head when Jesus says that I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And what Jesus is saying there is that, throughout, from the very beginning, you've got, like in the book of Genesis, you've got this choice between the tree of the knowledge of good and evil or the tree of life, which is basically a choice between God or not God. Who are you going to trust? Do you trust God or do you not trust God? And throughout the rest of the Old Testament, you've got these two ways that are set before God's people. And then when Jesus comes along, he says, I am that way. I am the way to God. It's not an intellectual thing. It is a person. And that echoes this, but I never knew you. You say, Lord, Lord, and that's good theology, but I don't know you. And because the path isn't a theology, it is a person. And then you bring that to, Peter is another example where, Peter, Jesus says, you're going to deny me 3 times. And Peter's like, I will die for you, But as soon as things aren't working out the way Peter wants, he starts denying that he knows Jesus. And again, because Peter had what he was putting his trust in was this revolution, was this Lord who was going to conquer Rome, was the coming of God's kingdom in a particular way in Peter's head. And as soon as that wasn't working, he started ditching his theology, because his love was not for Jesus. It was for this hope that Peter had in the coming of God's kingdom. And then when Jesus comes back, he asks Peter 3 times, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And I think that, and Peter was walking around with this guy for a couple years, and even he had to be peeled off of this dependency, this trust in these things that are not God. They might point to God, but they're not God itself. And so now when you come to Revelation, we're faced with the same thing. Are you going to trust God, or do you need to have this theological infrastructure all figured out to know exactly how it's all going to happen? Because guess what? God doesn't want that. God doesn't want that from us. God wants us to just trust Him and to obey Him and to be faithful to Him in this personal way. And that's how I see the comfort of this mystery.
I will say you have persuaded me. I Now I'm coming back over to hope. You have persuaded me, Dan. Thank you. No, it is so true. And this is where I have to remember our faith is just that. It is faith. It's there is no certainty. I mean, we can be as certain as we can be, but really our faith is it's faith. And that's the beauty of this relationship that we've been invited into. And there is a lot of mystery and there is a lot of unknown and there is a lot that doesn't make sense. And yet we go back to the center of the center, Jesus. And that makes perfect sense. And that is where our faith lies. That is where the answers come from. There are a lot of other things out on the periphery that we don't know, that we don't agree on. But hopefully what we can agree on is the character and compassion and love of Christ and what that means for us as we more and more lean into that. So thank you for once again dragging me out of the dumps and plopping me onto the land of hope. I appreciate it.
Good. All right.
Well, it feels weird because again, I'm just kind of getting back into things, and so my timing could be off. But also, we're at the beginnings of this series, and so again, there are some things that are to come. We can't reveal everything right now, which means we can't talk about all the things right now. Like this is a process, and so stick with us. More to come, more discussion to come, more questions to come. But I feel like in the beginnings of this, as we're just kind of starting to dissect all of this.
A lot of thunder. A lot of thunder.
Yeah. A lot of thunder. Yeah. Makes sense that we don't have all the answers and all the things just now in this moment. I kind of feel like that means I do. Okay. Do you? Okay. Perfect.
Good.
Did y'all do it? Did you and Greg do it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, I'm going to go back and watch. I am not confident in that response. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's nugget time, folks. Do you want a nugget first or nugget
I can
last?
go first. I can go first if you'd like.
Sure.
I have a verse I want to read.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Scripture's good.
Hold on a second. I turned the pages I got so into our conversation that I went all over the place. This is Psalm 56, verses 3 and 4. And it says this: When I am afraid, I put my trust in you, God. In God, whose word I praise. In God I trust and am not afraid. What can mere people do to me? And that is the verse. And there's so many things I love about that, but the thing that jumps out in light of what we've talked about is just how he distinguishes I put my trust in God, whose word I praise. He doesn't have his trust in the word. He has his trust in God, and he loves the word, but his trust is still in the God behind the word. And in God I trust, and I am not afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? And that is, now, mere mortals can do some pretty bad things, and they did do some pretty bad things to David. But when he realized that whatever happens here, on the other side of that, God is faithful, and God is waiting to meet David with blankets and warm food, and that is what can this world do to us? It's nothing, and it's a faith that we all aspire to.
Amen.
That is my nugget.
That's beautiful. It reminds me of a song, an older song. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. And that is just so true. There is so much that we can be overwhelmed by and be distracted by. But when we focus back on Jesus, who is the author, the finisher, the perfecter of our faith, we can rest assured whatever man does to us, and like you said, that can be hellish, but that's not the end. There is more, and there is a victory, and that is beautiful. I love that nugget. My nugget ties to that. In my okay, bear with me. I was okay. In basketball games, a lot of times if you're there live, and you'll see this sometimes on TV, they do different things to get crowd engagement. And one of the things they do, I do not know why, but they get people with babies, like little babies, and they have like one parent or, and another parent on opposite sides of the court, and they want the baby to like crawl to the other parent. And it's like a race against all these crawling babies. And this last one I watched, it's like, so you have the one parent, come on, Susie, come on, Johnny, come on, Sally, blah, blah, blah. And this one baby kept like crawling and then looking and then crawling back to the other parent and then crawling, back and forth, back and forth. But the parents had such faith that this kid could do it, that this kid could crawl across. One kid got up and took their first steps and walked. And I was like, well, you're disqualified because you're supposed to crawl, but whatever. So anyway, that just, when I saw that here recently, it reminded me of how God is with us. He has all the faith in the world in us, in me, in you, in all of us to come, to accomplish, to crawl, to grow, to walk, and to get things done. And I would love to have that kind of unwavering trust and faith and confidence in him. And I do, but sometimes when I'm not focused on him, I'm seeing the crowds around me. I'm seeing what's behind me and thinking, ooh, maybe I need to go that way. I'm unsure of myself, so I think I can't do it. That's when I falter. And to me, that's when we're looking for all of the scenarios and all of the answers. And really the one answer we do need, and it's not to placate anyone and be like, they're there. But no, really, the one answer we do need is Jesus. And so when we focus on that, on the person of Jesus, then we do have that victory. And whatever is unknown will become known in due time, but we don't have to know all the things in order to gain the victory. And so that was a roundabout way to share my nugget. But I want to remember the trust and the faith I have in God, and to reflect the trust and the faith that he has shown me and shown us, shown humanity, because man, we have messed it up. We have. And yet his grace is still there. His love is still there. And he's still beckoning us and calling us like, come to me, come, let's do this together. And so that's beautiful. And I'm thankful. And I just need to keep remembering that.
Yeah. Well, okay. Not only is it a good nugget, but you also get bonus points for involving babies crawling. And then one of them walked to their first steps. Right. Whatever sports team you own, whether it's basketball or football or hockey, sign that kid to a contract because he or she is a player. They are competitive and they are going to accomplish things. I tell you,
they are going to get her done.
Yes.
Oh, well, once again, Dan, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all that you are and all that you do. And so much of it, people don't even know. But I see you.
Wow. It's good to have you back.
Thank you. Hey, you guys, this is just week 2. We're just kind of dipping our toes in. And so there's more to come. So please continue to tune in and check it out and engage and dive deep and send questions to, MuseCast@whchurch.org. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part. Thanks for growing and learning with us. And we look forward to next time. Have a great week, everyone.